So welcome along to this solstice celebration, a winter solstice celebration like no other. So as you can see, I'm sitting in the big shrine room at the Dublin Buddha Centre, and Daniel's in the office, and Atelier Mitra's in Drogheda, and people are all over the place. So you're very welcome. Yeah, so this time of year we usually celebrate the winter solstice at the Dublin Buddha Centre, and we're going to do that this evening. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to give a talk for a while, just reflecting on the year, and then we'll have a break for about 10 minutes. And then Atelier Mitra is going to lead a ritual for the winter solstice centered around Green Tara, who's also seated here on the shrine. So you're very welcome. And I think I'll just start. So nature can be viewed in all kinds of ways. And one of the ways we can view nature is in terms of cycles. So we have the cycles of the seasons, you know, spring, summer, autumn and winter, and then spring, summer, autumn and winter. There's the cycle of the months, of the way the moon revolves, and how she grows smaller and grows bigger with the phases of the moon. And there's also the whole cycle of the year. And of course, one of the ways that we know about that cycle is because the days get shorter and longer. And we're heading into the shortest day of the year. So I think it's Monday will be the 21st of December, which is the shortest day of the year. And after that time, of course, the light begins to increase. So that makes it a very, very special time of year. And it's a time of year that's been marked as a special time of year, well, as long as we know in terms of human history. And yeah, so it's got a particular kind of magic to it, this particular phase of the cycle. So yeah, our lives can also be seen in terms of cycles, even in terms of like a wheel. So of course in Buddhism we have the image of the wheel of life, the wheel of samsara, and how it goes round and round. And we can also think of it in terms of not just a sort of a cycle of something going around and around, but almost like a pendulum or something swinging backwards and forwards. So yeah, you can see the light coming and going as swinging between the lightness and the darkness. And so again, we see that at this time of year, the sort of the swinging, like almost like a pendulum action. And we even notice that in our own bodies as we breathe. Our breath too is a kind of a cycle. So it comes in and it goes out. There's different phases. The primary ones being, of course, the in-breath and then the out-breath. And when you do the mindfulness of breathing, you begin to notice how there's a little gap, there's a little pause in our breathing. Just at the end of the out-breath, before the in-breath comes in, there's just a moment of stillness, a moment where nothing happens. And I sometimes think that this time of year is a little bit like that. It's a little bit like a pause, that the old year has come to a conclusion. And before the new year begins, there's this moment, or even a few moments, a few days, where it feels like stillness, that we've let go of all the things we've been involved with in the previous year. And in the subsequent year, we haven't yet got involved in what we're going to be doing in that year. So there's this lovely moment, this lovely time when we can reflect, we can cast our mind back over the year that we've had. It seems to be quite a natural thing to do at this time of year. You hear things on the radio, reviewing the year. You hear these things on the television, the way people talk about with each other. Naturally, we reflect on the year, we talk about what the year's meant for us. And of course, a little bit later on in this period, we begin to turn our mind to the new year and what our hopes are, what our fears are, what our intentions are for the new year. So when we look back on 2020, the words that I thought of was bruising. I think it's been, for me anyway, probably for a lot of you, it's been a bruising, punishing kind of year. And I can't remember anything like it in my life. I was looking up a word online it's so easy to do that now. You just go on to, you know, a web. Just if you just write a word and then write meaning, you find it's really easy to find the meaning of a word. And I was doing that for I can't remember what the word was, but I just, you know, it's quite easy to get distracted by clickbait. You get all kinds of clickbait on those sites, and I just happened to notice one which was one about word of the year, and one of the words of 2020, apparently one of the most searched words, is unprecedented. So that's probably no surprise to us that the word unprecedented, particularly back in March and April, was one of the most searched words online on the internet. So yeah, so it's been an unprecedented year. It's been a difficult year. It's been a punishing, bruising kind of year. And what I thought I'd do is just share a few thoughts, a few reflections on the year. Both in terms of well, kind of what it's meant for me, but also a bit of what it's meant for us as a Buddhist community. So these are just some reflections, and I'm aware of the fact that I'm not going to be saying anything probably that's terribly new. And I think that's one of the things that I've noticed about this year, is that some of the things that I've realized or that I've noticed or that I've seen a little bit more deeply, just very, very fundamental Buddhist teachings that I've heard again and again and again. I think they've just sunken in a little bit more deeply this year in particular. So one of the things, the first thing I wanted to say, the first kind of reflection or thoughts about 2020 is, again, in a way quite obvious, but very difficult to live according to that truth. And that is that we can never be sure about how things are going to work out. So we can never be sure how things are going to work out. So what's really interesting about something like what happened in March, when this new disease sort of entered into our lives as human beings, we all had to make decisions. Some of us would have had to make, you know, decisions that affected a lot of people. All of us would have had to make decisions that affected more than just ourselves. And none of us would have known how those decisions were going to work out. And in a way, that's always the case. It's always the case that when we can never know how things are going to work out. Usually, things are relatively stable, so we can be fairly confident that we can have a decent stab about, you know, knowing how things are going to work out. But it was so apparent back earlier in the year that we just couldn't know. And in a way, we can never really know because of the fact that conditioned things are unstable. We can never be 100% sure of how things are going to work out. And it's as if that fact of, you know, the instability of conditioned life, of the conditioned world, this became much more obvious. It became more apparent. It's like the way I was thinking of it was that the volume was turned up on that particular aspect of life. So what I found actually myself is, strangely, that was quite a creative time. March, April and May was actually a really creative time, because there was no other option than this kind of to fall, you know, to sort of meet life with a sort of full face of the bat, as they say in cricketing terms. There's one for you, David. Yeah, just kind of really engage, really respond to what was going on, and not worry too much about how it's going to work out. It just felt very much like, well, this is the situation. We'll do the best we can. If it's the wrong thing, we'll have to change it, but we just have to do what we can right now to respond. So it kind of, there was a lovely kind of clarity about that, a lovely kind of sense of simplicity in a way, of just, you know, living in a way from day to day and from week to week, just making the best decisions that one can. And it also felt like it was much more important just to let go when things didn't work out and move on without, you know, being overly critical about one's decisions and other people's decisions even, and just getting on with what needed to be done. So I think that's one of the things that I've been reflecting on, is just, yeah, we can never be sure how things are going to work out. And trying to notice that and trying to realize that that's actually just something about life that's always true can be a liberating kind of thing to think about and reflect on and try and see. So one of the other aspects of the fact that of the instability of the conditioned world, as I've been kind of describing it, is that things pass away. So again, this is a key Buddhist teaching that we've all heard a million times. But of course, you know, 2020 has meant death. So people have died. People always die every year, but it's been particularly striking this year and painful this year, because some people who in a way wouldn't have died. So more than 2,000 people have died of coronavirus in Ireland, which is a lot of people, and that's just in this country. And I'm aware of the fact that I'm talking to you all. I don't know you all intimately. I know some of you intimately, but I'm sure there's people who are listening, who are out there, so to speak, who have lost people this year. So again, that's just part of this cycle. A life arises, and then it passes away, and then it arises again. So we live in the midst of that kind of cycle. And one of the things I just wanted to, in a way, this is a bit of an announcement, but it's been quite a striking thing to know, and some of you might not have heard this, but about 30 years ago, a couple of the order members, Sangha and Ratnabanda, who started our Buddhist community in Ireland, were looking for a retreat centre, and they wanted somewhere that was in striking distance of Dublin, and they found this place called Sandal House, just outside of Ballyconnell in County Cavan. And yeah, most of you maybe even have been there, and it's a little hostel that's, like I say, not too far from Ballyconnell, run by John and Claire. And we got an email about a month ago to say that John and Claire are going to close the hostel. So we won't be going to Sandal House anymore for our retreats. So that's a big thing. And I just sort of wanted to let you know that. And in a way, it creates an opportunity for us to get our own place. It's possible we might even be able to get Sandal House. Who knows? But it's something that's a big change for our community, and I'm sure there's loads of us who've got similar major changes in our lives that have arisen in 2020. Things have ended for us, no doubt. Not just death, but major kind of life changes will have happened for many of us. Not just because of the year because of the year that's been, because of what's happened. I just wanted to let you know about Sandal House, and I'm really, really vividly conscious of the fact that for many people it's a really special place. So when you go away and retreat, you have significant experiences, and for many of us, we've had those experiences at Sandal House. So what we wanted to do is sort of do something just to allow people to share their recollections and their experiences and their feelings for the place. So we've Vedashira, I think, is set up a page on the online where you can share your thoughts and reflections and memories of Sandal House. You can even post video and audio and images if you want to. So we just wanted to give people an opportunity to just express Sandal House and how significant it's been for them. And we're going to make sure that we thank John and Claire, because they really have gone out of their way to accommodate us over all the years that we've been going to Sandal House. So like I said, I just wanted to let you know that. Some of us have had a chance to kind of come to terms with that, news, or, just assimilate that news. So I just wanted to let you know. So things pass away, but also in the conditioned world, new things come into being. So there's arising and passing away, and the arising, it's important we don't lose sight of that. And new things also have arisen in 2020. Actually, like I said a minute ago, it's been in a way quite a creative year around the Buddhist Centre. We've got new things happening, which I'll talk about in a moment. But one of the things I wanted to mention, it's already been mentioned this evening just before we started, which is we've got a new women's community, which is really wonderful. So we haven't had a women's community for a few years now. But Laura, Kira and Sadai see here. I think Kira and Sadai see here somewhere on the screen. I think apparently Laura's out buying furniture at IKEA at the moment. So they've come together, and they're going to live together and share their lives with each other, and they're going for refuge. So that's really wonderful that we've got a new women's community as part of our mandala and around the Sangha in Ireland. So I just wanted to really rejoice in that. It's a really significant thing that they're living in that way. And yeah, well, hopefully we'll have many more communities in years to come. But it's really wonderful that we've got, we've got 2 men's communities at the moment in Dublin, and that now we've got a women's community as well. Yeah, so things pass away and then new things come into being. So yeah, that's the first of my thoughts, is that we can never be sure how things are going to work out. And that's been demonstrated abundantly, really, in 2020. I guess what I'm saying is that, in a way, that's always the case, and this year has particularly highlighted that. So another thing that I've been really aware of is particularly talking like I'm talking now to people who aren't actually physically present, that you're all somewhere else. It's made me really aware of the fact that communication is not just about conveying information. The way that we've communicated is so different that it really starts begging the question, well, what's really going on here? What's really happening when we communicate? And what I've been really conscious of is, in a way, the bits that are missing when you meet somebody on an online context. So the ceremonies and the rituals about how we come together and how we meet are all part of how we communicate. And I probably, like you, I've really missed just greeting people and saying goodbye to people and touching people, hugging people, sharing food with people, all of those ways that we come together and that we communicate. And that enables, when we're able to do that, it's much more easily to kind of imaginatively enter the lives of the people that we're with. And in a way, what's been a real surprise to me this year is that you can do that online. It's almost like the absence of that ritual and the way that we normally do it has highlighted the fact that it is an imaginative act. It is an act of awareness to enter into somebody else's world. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a psychotherapist who's been doing psychotherapy sessions online. And he was saying that he's kind of amazed that a lot of the things that happen in therapy happen online. He was talking about transference and things, and he could notice that was happening even though they were communicating through a computer screen. And so it's amazing what we can actually do, but it does require, in a way, more of an imaginative connection, more of an actual active effort to be aware of who you're talking to, and also to receive the communication from somebody else. So I've been really conscious as well of the way that communication is part of both establishing and affirming and even creating relationships with people of all kinds. And how somehow it makes it more weirdly clearer when it's so sort of circumscribed within a particular online kind of environment. So when we have a connection with one other person, we have like a friendship with that person, and with many others, it's we actually have a sense of being part of a community. And again, one of the things, the next thing I wanted to say, so that's just a few thoughts about how communication is not just about the content, it's not just about conveying information, it's about actually witnessing somebody else's life and having them witness our life, and how that is a significant thing in and of itself, irrespective of what information is conveyed in that exchange. So so we also have a Sangha. Now, I kind of knew that, but I've been really delighted, actually, just in the last 9 months, I suppose it's been, or 10 months since we went into lockdown for the first time. I've been really delighted by the fact that we really do have a Sangha. I've been involved in the last few weeks in doing some reviews with some mitras. We're having this mitra meditation course, and just doing very short meditation reviews with 3 or 4 people. And we've just been really talking about the nuts and bolts of meditation. When you talk about meditation in that way, you really get a sense of somebody's life and what they're working with and who they are and what their particular character is. And I've had a really strong sense that people are really engaging. They're really engaging with their mind. They're really engaging with their mind through the teachings and the practices of the Dharma, and communicating on the basis of that engagement and that commitment. So it's been really apparent to me that, you know, people, we are really doing this thing called Buddhism. It's not just a nice idea. It's something that we're really genuinely and really engaging with. Again, somehow that's become more apparent when we haven't been able to meet, that there is actually something there between us, some sort of affinity between us. And that, you know, that's happened at different levels. So there's been the classes that we've been running at the Buddhist Center. There's been mitra groups, having quite a few different mitra groups, study groups, also study groups with people who, they're not mitras, they're not friends of the Triratna Buddhist order, but they want to learn more about Buddhism, they want to engage in that way. And, you know, there's been something really wonderful about actually seeing people every single week, not just, you know, once in a while, but every single week, and being able to, strangely, because of the way we've been living, to have more consistency with that. People aren't going away so much. So in a way, you can go deeper. And again, I've seen people have really used the pandemic as an opportunity to engage more deeply with the Dharma and more deeply with the particular issues in their own lives. Again and again and again, I've seen people engage with that. And yeah, it's actually been just really inspiring and encouraging to see other people doing that. I've been uplifted and inspired by it myself, because I know it, you know, you know, one has one's low moments and times like we've been in. And the same goes actually for the order. So I'm not quite sure how many order members there are in Ireland. With Yashadeva and Pranagita in Ireland at the moment, there might be about, I don't know, 19 or maybe possibly even 20. So, and it's been wonderful actually. You know, we live in different places, we're involved in different things. We've got family commitments, work commitments, and so on. We've been going on retreats and all these different things. And it's often quite difficult to get together. But one of the things that's been lovely is having regular order meetings, gatherings with the order. And also actually, that's one of the other things that's been wonderful about this year is seeing or the fact that order members who would not normally be able to be involved in our DBC activities have been able to be involved in our DBC activities. So we've had retreats with you know, really, really big order team. And I've really loved the fact that that's happening and that's happened. So that's in a way been a real boon, just to be able to be together more. And I was just thinking of that phrase actually, that old adage, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And again, sometimes when you're not able to be with people, you appreciate the connections that much more. So yes, I wanted to, in a way, actually I just wanted to rejoice in some of the things that have happened that have been actually really good, and just rejoice in the fact that we do really have a Sangha. It's not just a nice idea. I think it's a real thing, a real reality that exists between us, both between friends, but there's a collective that's bigger than just the individual friendships which make up the Sangha. I suppose another thing I wanted to rejoice in, just in terms of Sangha, is that we've just been able to reach a lot of people this year. So I talked earlier in the year about how it's been a bit of a revolution in the way that we've been operating this year. We've been able to reach people all over the country, well actually all over the world, but mainly in Ireland. And there's been no restriction on the size of our events. So we've done courses with, you know, 50, 60, 70, even 80 people. I think we might have had sessions that are even bigger than that. So there's been a lot of people meeting the Dharma through those courses. Again, we had a really big summer retreat, the October retreat. We had a lot more people than we would have been able to have at Sample House. And then we've got our winter retreat coming up on the 27th. So I just wanted to rejoice in the fact that we've been able to reach a lot more people than that we normally would be able to. And actually people have been really hungry for what the Dharma has to say and what we are as a community. And it's not just a numbers game, obviously. It's not just about getting lots of people along. It's actually about people making a real connection with something significant and wanting to take that deeper. And people have taken things deeper. So over 2020, there's been 10 people have wanted to become mitras, and we've actually had 12 people who've asked to join the order. So I don't know if that's a record in Ireland. I don't know if we've ever had 12 people in one calendar year who've asked to join the order, but it suggests that people have met something that they really value, and that they want to, in a way, deepen that engagement, to further that engagement, and discover more about what it is that they've discovered, and do that in communication with other people. So we really do have a Sangha. In a way, we are a Sangha. And it reminded me just of something that, a little story from the life of Sangha, our teacher and our founder. And when Sri Ratna started all the FWBO, as it was in 1967 in London, Bhante Sangha was really, really keen that what was started was not just another Buddhist organization. He wanted it to be a genuine spiritual community. And a lot of the way we do things, a lot of the thinking that lies behind the way that we do things, comes from that fact that we wanted to be a spiritual community with all the connotation that term has, a Sangha. And I think that's another thing that's been really highlighted. Like, I'm sitting in the Buddhist center that's empty. It's just me and Daniel in terms of human beings that are present. And it's been like that for most of the year, actually. It's been like that since the middle of March. It's been empty. So a lot of our kind of, the normal kind of organizational things that we do, we haven't been doing. And it just highlights the fact that there is something more going on here than just a charity and just an organization and just a web address and so on. And it reminds me, like I said, of this little incident where after about what would it have been, about 6 or 7 years, Bhante was working very, very hard on establishing this new Buddhist community, and he just went off to Cornwall in the southwest of England, just for a sabbatical, and just to sort of see. Partly he just wanted to see if the community that he'd established would exist, would survive without him, and he had this experience apparently of sitting meditating, and having a strong, vivid sense of the other order members of the order being around him, meditating together. And at that point, he knew that he'd established something that was more than just another Buddhist organization. So I think, I haven't had a vision like that, but I've really had this strong sense that we are really doing it, as it were. We are something substantial, and it's wonderful. Actually, it's really wonderful to be part of that. And I think people have responded to that. And part of the reason I think that is because people have been like terribly generous. So back in March, we decided almost immediately that we wanted to do everything on a completely donation basis. So we haven't charged for any of our events since March. They've all been on a donation basis, and people have really strongly responded to that. It's been really touching, actually, just how generous people have been. And it's also, I have to say, from the other side, it's been really wonderful just to give the Dharma, just to say, well, this is what I've been practicing Buddhism for 20 plus years. I've got a certain understanding, I've got a certain knowledge and a certain experience, and I'd really like to share that because I think it might benefit you. And if you'd like to, you can give some money to help that happen more. So it's just felt really wonderful to be able to offer it in that kind of way without there being any element of exchange involved. It's just been completely straightforward. Completely straightforward. Here's a gift. If you want to give one too, great. It's as simple as that. So I've really loved that, and I've really loved seeing how people have responded to that. It's really, again, it's been another kind of revolution in the way that we've been functioning in Sri Ratna in Ireland. Like I say, we've reached people all over the country. We're no longer limited by size, and we've also done everything on a donation basis. And we've got, at present, we've got 104 people who are giving a monthly donation to keep, not just keep what we're doing going, but actually developing what we're doing, which is really significant that we've got, 104 people think that what we're doing is worth supporting. And some people are giving, well, everyone's giving generously, but there's some very significant donations that people are giving. So I just wanted to thank you actually just for your generosity. It's really, really wonderful to witness. And so 134 of those people who are giving have started giving since the beginning of the lockdown. So it's really developed that aspect, that income stream. Really, I mean, that is our only income stream. We sell the odd book, but really our only income stream at the moment, aside from the support we're getting from the government in terms of wage subsidies and so on, is from the donations that we're getting. So we're actually, while no one I think at the moment can be complacent, we're actually in a relatively okay position financially. So yeah, that's a huge relief in a way to be in that position, and I'm very, very grateful to all of you and everybody out there who's not tuning in at the moment for being generous in that way. So that's all coming out of this reflection that I've had, that we really are a Sangha. It's a real thing. It's not just a nice idea. And I just wanted to take a slightly different tack. And this is something that, in a way, I can't say with, this is a conviction that I have, I suppose, that I can't quantify easily. But one of the feelings that I've had, particularly in the last few months, is the way I've put it is that the light of the Buddha shines no matter what. The light of the Buddha shines no matter what. So whatever's happening, whatever we're tangled up with in terms of samsara, in terms of the endless round, in terms of the vicissitudes of life, the Buddha's light always is shining. It's said to be lokutara, it's transcendental, it's above the world. The light comes from somewhere else. And because of that, because it's not dependent on something conditioned, it's always available, it's always shining if we're able to open up to it. And it's interesting, there's that wonderful passage in the Pali where people respond to the Buddha, and what they say is, they hear a teaching from the Buddha and they say, "Magnificent, Lord, magnificent," just as if he were to place upright what was overturned, to reveal what was hidden, to point out the way to one who is lost, or to carry a lamp into the dark so that those with eyes could see forms. In the same way has the Blessed One, through many lines of reasoning, made the Dhamma clear. I go for refuge to the Blessed One, to the Dhamma, and to the Sangha. So there's a very, very strong, not even a suggestion, but a way of talking about the Dhamma, talking about the three jewels in that passage in terms of light. And that, that is the light of refuge. So no matter how difficult things can be, and things have been extremely difficult for many of us this year, and will be in the future, we'll all have our difficult times, our dark times, that we can respond, we can open up to the light that comes from the beyond, as it were, that comes from the three jewels. And that is, like I said, I think the reason I can say that we're a Sangha is I feel that is happening, that people are doing that in this community, that people are opening up to something unconditioned, and that the Sangha itself is kind of an expression of that. I wanted to, in a way, just this time of year, we tend to, well, we actually always do, we have done for years, we always celebrate Tara. So Tara's on the shrine here, and she, of course, is made of light. So Tara's body is made of green emerald light, and her name means star. So apparently, one of the meanings of Tara, the word is star, which of course is a source of light. So this light, if we're able to open up to this light, that is the light of the Buddha, but is expressed in terms of, or in the shape of, this beautiful green goddess. If we're able to do that, we do derive a fearlessness from that. Of course, she holds her hand in the gesture of fearlessness, and she holds her hand in the mudra of the three jewels. So that's very important. Of course, on their other hand is the hand of generosity. So there seems to be this kind of correlation, or this correspondence between people's willingness to and delight in being generous, and their sense of being plugged into something transcendental, and the fearlessness that they derive from that. So, we're heading into a new year, and I did say, when I did the little blurb for the website, we're doing these little 1-minute videos. I think I've just about gotten the hang of it. But anyway, I did say in the video that I would say something about what's going to happen next year. I mean, and obviously I haven't got a clue what's going to happen. I've got a few clues. But I was just thinking, actually, in a way, the same things apply, that, we can never be sure how things are going to work out. Communication is not just about conveying information. We are a Sangha, and the light of the Buddha shines no matter what. And I think in a way, if we remember those things, we won't go too far wrong. And yeah, of course, Tara also, you can see here, her foot here is stepping down into the world. So the sense that she's sort of coming down and meeting people. She's not just sort of staying aloof, but reaching down. So, some of those things that I've been talking about can be summed up in terms of Dada Rinpoche's motto. So Dada Rinpoche, of course, was one of Bante's, one of Sangharakshita's teachers. He's half Chinese and half Tibetan. He lived in India for much of his life, which is where Bante met him. And this was the motto of his school that he ran for Tibetan refugees: cherish the doctrine, live united, and radiate love. So I've been talking about, cherishing the doctrine, remembering that we don't know how things are going to turn out. Living united, remembering that communication is really important, that Sangha is really important. And, cherishing the doctrine also means remembering the light of the Buddha, reaching up to something that's beyond the world. But there's also this other part of the motto, which is radiate love. You could say that's the altruistic aspect or dimension of this reaching up to the light of Tara, or the light of the transcendental. And so we can connect with that light. And what's beautiful is that through our connection, we can help other people connect. And I really think that we've been doing that as a community. I've been really delighted how people have been so willing to help, so willing to participate. We've had, people helping out with courses in lots of different ways, just meeting people actually, and being really happy and willing to meet people. And I just wanted to, I'm just about finished now. I just want to read you a little excerpt from a Mahayana Sutra. It's a little bit from the Vimalakirti Nirdesha, and he's using this imagery of light and lamps. But I'll just read it. It's fairly self-explanatory. Vimalakirti is the bodhisattva who's giving most of the teaching in this particular sutra. It's a bit unusual in as much as it's not the Buddha in this particular sutra. So this is what he says. He's talking about the bodhisattva, the being who's dedicated to the awakening of others. He says, Vimalakirti replied, "Sisters, there is a door of the Dharma called the Inexhaustible Lamp. Practice it. What is it? Sisters, a single lamp may light hundreds of thousands of lamps without itself being diminished. Likewise, sisters, a single bodhisattva may establish many hundreds of thousands of living beings in enlightenment without his mindfulness being diminished. In fact, not only does it not diminish, it grows stronger." So it's as if we're able to pass that on, enable other people to touch that light, that light grows more strongly within us. And this is part of what we're about as a community, is to enable that to happen. So I kind of, one thing I can say is I feel really confident about our future as a community in this country. Well, actually more than just this country, but, in other places too. But, right here, I really feel like we've got something really good going. I feel that's what I can say with confidence. I don't know what the particulars are going to be, but I do think we're in a really strong position. We've grown this year. More people are involved, and people who are involved have gotten more involved, have deepened their commitment to the Three Jewels. And there's such a strong current of goodwill. And I just think that when we're able to come back together again, and this year, hopefully, it's looking good, but who knows, we'll be able to come together and actually be together in practice. I think when that happens, I think we'll be much stronger than we realize, actually. I think we'll really feel that. So I really look forward to that, and looking forward to seeing lots of you next year in that kind of way.